dwelling in the land overshadowed by death, light has arisen.
The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
Reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you, Lord.
Then they came to Capernaum, and on the Sabbath Jesus entered the synagogue and taught. The people were astonished at his teaching, for he taught them as one having authority, and not as the scribes. In their synagogue was a man with an unclean spirit. He cried out, "What have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." Jesus rebuked him and said, "Quiet, come out of him." The unclean spirit convulsed him, and with a loud cry came out of him. All were amazed and asked one another, "What is this? A new teaching with authority. He commands even the unclean spirits, and they obey him." His fame spread everywhere throughout the whole region of Galilee. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
From today's psalm. If today you hear God's voice, harden not your hearts. If today you hear God's voice, harden not your hearts. A few years back, when I was living in my former monastery at Blue Cloud Abbey in South Dakota, it was about 9 o'clock in the evening. I think I was getting some tea or something like that, and I heard coming from the garage, we had no locks on any of our doors, I heard this angry male voice yelling up a storm. I can't say what he said, but he was angry, and he was coming near and near and near where I was in the kitchen. I just kind of froze. I didn't know what to do. I thought call the cops or simply run. And then around me comes one of my brother monks, comes up to the guy who was just turning the corner. And my brother monk says, "Hi, I'm Father Tom. Are you hungry?" An angry man was taken aback, and he kind of said, I am hungry. So Father Tom and this angry man went to the kitchen, opened up the refrigerator, got some leftovers out, nuked them, and sat in one of our tables. I came back about a half an hour later to see if Father Tom was still alive. And Tom was alive. An angry man had turned into laughing man, happier man. And he said, "Oh, Father, thank you, I needed that." And Father Tom said, "I did too." Trying to learn that lesson, I froze. Father Tom did not harden his heart towards this angry man. He was willing to lend a hand, ask him if he was hungry, lend an ear, grab some leftovers at 9 o'clock at night, and taking time to hear this man's story, even though, or maybe especially so, it was filled with anger. Offering practical kindness transformed anger to healing laughter. Father Tom gave the man hope, even if it was just for that evening. Pope Francis, in a recent TED Talk, said, "A single individual is enough for hope to exist, and that person could be you. If that hope is shared with another, there becomes another you, and then it becomes an us. And when there is an us, the Holy Father says, there begins a revolution of tenderness. What is tenderness? It is a love that comes close and becomes real. It is a movement that starts with the heart and reaches the eyes and the ears and the hands. Tenderness means to use our hands and our heart to comfort the other, to take care of those in need, Pope Francis says. Jesus has tenderness also, as we know. In the gospel, the people were simply amazed at Jesus because he taught with authority. He didn't just talk the talk. he made beautiful and good things happen. How can we be good to others? First, it begins with an attitude. Let me offer you a simple practice. Whenever you meet another person, let your first thought be, I wish that person to be happy. I wish that person happy. Simply that. If every time you meet another person and you wish that person to be happy, then eventually it becomes more and more of a habit. I offer this practice because it's impossible to have a hard heart towards another and at the same time wish them to be happy. But if wishing happiness is too difficult for you today, another practice. Don't be a jerk. During this time of pandemic, at least I'll speak for myself, it's become more difficult to be kind. The pandemic makes me grumpy. Stay away from me yesterday. And we have to social distance in so many ways. The space between us. I mean, look around. It's very strange and sad, the space between us. But if we think of this space between us not as an emptiness, but as a filled space, a space filled with Jesus Christ between me and you, those around you, your family, your neighbor, a space filled with the presence of Christ. For in his own words, where 2 or 3 are gathered, there I am. Christ is with us. If today, tomorrow, the next day you hear God's voice, don't harden your heart. Show some tenderness.